Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate everybody coming out. This is we've had 2 or 3 different groups. We've had a members group. We've had a homeowners association group. I know there's 1 or 2. I think Tommy Cobb shows up every one he can. He loves the food that Yancey fixes. So love having Tommy here in the building. He's heard this speech a couple of times, but I'll try to throw something fresh in there today. We're excited. This is a major deal, not just for Jessamine County, but for the state of Kentucky. And before I get started, I want to introduce a couple of members of my staff. To my right, Catherine Clifton and Josh Franklin, 2 of our tournament directors. BD Global is my company. We're a sports management event company. We run a ton of college basketball. We produce about 125 college basketball games a year all around the country, from South Florida to Las Vegas, from Nassau to Vancouver. We probably produce as much as anybody other than ESPN. We just don't have the television platform. So a lot of our stuff is shown all over the country, all NCAA Division I men's and women's. And a couple of years ago, we got in the golf space. And so we run a couple of PGA Tour events down in the Bahamas for the Web.com series. That's the young guys that are out there battling, and some of the guys that have been on the tour that are trying to get back to the tour. And so Catherine is our tournament director for our Exuma event. If you want a nice little trip to Sandals, she can tell you all about it. Sandals Exuma, great location. And then Josh is our tournament director for Abaco, the Abaco Club, which is a very nice, beautiful island there in the northern part of the Bahamas. They run both of those tournaments for us. Got Bailey here, our crack staff member, just graduated EKU out of Kansas City, Missouri she is, and she's here running the laptop today. We've got John Albaugh, who's been with me for many years now, over here on my left. Vanessa Taylor, who just joined our staff. She runs our volunteer efforts at all of our tournaments, and you'll hear a little bit about that today because it's a massive one, and glad to have Vanessa, who's from Minneapolis, Minnesota, just joined us from grad school in Miami. And then Brad Hicks is with us too, who's not only the pro but part of our staff here at Champions. Glad to have Brad Hicks on board. He kind of just makes it all happen for us. So glad to do that. Also want to introduce beautiful Lauren. Lauren runs the club, basically. She's in charge of all things. Tyler takes a lot of credit, but Lauren really gets it all done. So don't let Tyler tell you otherwise. I think Tyler's around back somewhere. So with that said, that's a little bit about us. A couple of years ago, you may know this course was in bankruptcy. And Central Bank, I think, held the note, and along came 2 guys, B. Fry and Evan Mossbarger, and they bought this course. They bought Keene Run over at Keene Manor, put the 2 together and made one club, the Keene Trace Golf Club. And they suckered me into a lunch one day because I can easily be bought. And I came over and talked to them about marketing the club. And that's not what I did, but they were friends of mine and wanted to help out. And so I threw out the idea because I also chaired, up until December, the Sports Commission here in Central Kentucky. And one of my efforts, personal efforts, was to try to bring back the old Bank One Classic. It was the Champions Tour that most of you know that was played at the Marriott and then later at Kearney Hills for many years, actually from '83 to '97. So almost 21 years ago now, we had professional golf in this community, and it's been gone that long. So we set about throwing that out on the wall. Well, what if we marketed it by bringing a professional golf event back? And so we started those efforts a couple of years back and got close a couple of times to actually bringing that tour, the Champions Tour, the former greats, back to this course. And in the process, we're actually down in Abaco a year ago, January, and got a call from the PGA Tour and said, hey, we got something better for you. We started this new event called the Barbasol Championships, and it's being played in Opelika, and it hadn't gone so well for us. It's an opposite event. I said, opposite what? I said, opposite the British Open. I said, all right, so tell me more. He says, well, while you lose the top 30, 40 guys, your elite players, your Justin Thomases, your Phil Mickelsons, your Tiger Woods, while they go to play in the British Open, the rest of the tour is sitting at home if we don't have an event for them. So we took a chance and started a new event at a Robert Trent Jones course down in Alabama, and in the middle of July, not quite the place you want to be. It's almost like being in Tampa, right? So they had this idea where it's hot, it's in Opelika, there's a small corporate community, hardly any activity there, and the event just doesn't fire. He said, would you guys have interest in bringing this, basically rescuing the event from where it was? And we jumped in and said immediately, yes. Because what we found, and it since has been proven in our own sales efforts here in the marketplace, is Kentucky is a dry market for professional golf. What has happened up at Valhalla with the Ryder Cup, with the PGA Championships, has only whet the appetite for more professional golf that's not being satisfied on an annual basis. So here we were able to go out and secure a $3.5 million purse. You'll see all this. Golf Channel for 4 days, the whole deal, and bring it right here to our course at Champions at Keene Trace. So this is a monumental effort. It'll be, flip it over, Bailey, this will be, as Jim Host calls it, right up there among one of the biggest events in the area. He compares it here to the World Equestrian Games and the Breeders' Cup in terms of just the pure impact and size. We think it's the third biggest sporting event in Kentucky. You have the Derby, you got the NASCAR race, and then you'll have this tournament. Predictions are by the tour that it could draw 80 to 100,000 people through the gates that week. 80 to 100,000. I think that's a little bit of fluff. I'm shooting for 50. I think 50 would be great. I'd be very pleased with 50. That means you've got 15,000 people here on a Saturday of the tournament. Could it be 25,000 here on a Saturday on a tournament? We'll see. If we hit everything right, I just got a picture from one of the gang today. Our billboards are starting to go up. You're going to start hearing our publicity. We're trying to get everything in place, but by the time Augusta tees off here in early April, and hopefully the snow melts. We got a lot of work to do. It's hard to do work when it's all covered in snow. So we'll get to that here in a minute too. But with that said, just the magnitude of this event can be something special. As you see, the host venue is Champions at Keene Trace, and I'm sorry you guys can't see. You're welcome to move your chairs around. Dates July 16th through the 22nd. The purse is $3.5 million, and more importantly, there's 300 FedEx Cup points. That's the race for the FedEx Cup trophy. It's a $10 million prize at the end of the PGA Tour season to the winner. Last year, Louisville native Justin Thomas was the FedEx Cup champion. He won $10 million. He had the most points. These points are critical. And so while there are points in each week, this is only one of 49 PGA Tour events in the entire world, and it's right here in Jessamine County. So that kind of puts it in perspective. The names you'll see, we talked about losing Tiger and Phil and that bunch to the British Open, which we consider our JV game. Think about it. It's the time difference. It finishes up about 2 o'clock. Our leaders tee off at 2:30. So the excitement of being able to come out, for those of you in corporate business, you may want to entertain some clients here, have a little watch party in your suite, and then our leaders are teeing off and you've got live golf the rest of the afternoon. Some of the names you'll hear about, and you've probably heard before. Last year in the event, Jim Furyk, Davis Love, Stuart Appleby, KJ Choi, Angel Cabrera, who won the Masters, Josh Teeter, the Lexingtonian who played at Moorhead, Boo Weekley, Hunter Mahan were part of that Ryder Cup team that was successful with J.B. Holmes back up at Valhalla a few years back. So these aren't anybody just to sneeze at. These are quality, top, A-level golfers that will be competing right here for that prize money and those points. We have a full week schedule. We'll make some adjustments on this. Monday, most of your folks are showing up. We typically may have a secondary pro-am that day. A pro-am is where you bring 4 players in, pair them with a pro, and they get a great experience on the golf course that day. That night, we may have our kickoff party. We've even talking about making it a casino night, potentially doing it over here at the castle, having 400, 500, 600 people in and about the castle and on the grounds, and making it a fundraiser for one of our particular charities of choice. On Tuesday, practice round. That's pretty much the main practice round for the golfers here on the property that day. That afternoon, we'll probably have a VIP clinic. We'll probably have a youth clinic. Might even do a youth shootout where we take 8 top high school seniors to be, boys and girls, pair them with a pro and let them play the last 4 holes here with media attention, so forth and so on. It's a really neat experience for potentially our future college golfers that this marketplace is producing. Looking at also doing a charity concert. We're trying to work closely with Jessamine County's own Eddie Montgomery to put something special together each year as part of that deal. And if it goes as planned, UK Children's Hospital would be the beneficiary of a charitable concert. This is all done while we're BD Global and we'll be the operator. This is all done under a nonprofit that we've set up. Everything that's done here by this tournament will go to charity above and beyond the expenses that are needed to run the tournament itself. Quick little fun fact nugget, stat of the day, is the PGA Tour last year, through its 49 different tournaments, donated more monies to charity than the other 4 major sports combined. $160 million were donated to charity through the different events. That's more than Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, and NBA combined. They do that year after year. So it's really a cool deal. BD Global gets a management fee for staging it. The Bluegrass Sports Commission, you met Luke and Kyle back here earlier. Those guys are out selling it and helping build it out. So together, it takes many, many cooks in the kitchen to make all this work. But at the end of the day, the impact it's going to have on the local community, which we'll talk about here in a minute, can be tremendous, from the charitable impact to the economic impact. On Wednesday, our official Pro-Am, we expect to have a full day, flights in the morning, flights in the afternoon. You get a tee time. You'll bring your guests. You'll tee off. They'll announce you on the #1 tee now from the Dixie Cafe. Boom, 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 that kind of deal. So it'll be really a special day for you and your guest. After 9 holes, you swap out, get a second pro to play with you. So now you get the experience of playing with 2 different professionals during the day of the Pro-Am. Really neat day. We're going to finish it out potentially with a Pro-Am party right here on property. Then the tournament starts on Thursday. That morning it gets going. Our Golf Channel television times just came in a couple of weeks ago. We're on from 5 to 8 p.m. Thursday and Friday night, typically later than most golf tournaments are broadcast. Saturday and Sunday will be 4 to 7. So our champion of our first event here will be crowned on Sunday night, hopefully at 6:50 p.m. thereabouts. All on Golf Channel. Golf Channel, so you know, is and this is really important, especially for Jessamine County, is televised to 200 plus countries around the world, almost 1 billion households. This will be a video postcard of our community. We will showcase various elements, working with the judge back here, identify areas of Jessamine County we want to show the rest of the world. Get some beautiful locations. We got a lot to brag about here, and we're going to use that Golf Channel to do that. The beauty of the golf course will sell itself. The Golf Channel is so excited about that, they're going to even put up a crane. The way we're going to set this up, you'll see in a minute, just to get the overview of the lake and the holes and the geese and everything else that's out here. It'll really be a very, very cool scene. Next. Tournament timelines. As we said, our marketing is going to kick off officially April 1st, right in time for Augusta. We'll run it. I mean, think about it. We're 4 months out from this tournament. Lots to do yet. Our build out, basically all the temporary structures that we bring in, will begin about June 4th, I believe, correct? And on that same day, we'll probably do a media day here on the property, invite all the state's media to come out, participate in a round of golf, have some other special presentations and announcements in and around that. We'll be about 6 weeks out from the start of the tournament at that point, June 4th. Advance week, just like it says, the week before the tournament, we hope to have everything built up, all the structures in place, all the tents in place, and we're just fine-tuning at that point. And so that's somewhere around the week of July 9th, I believe. Then the week of July 16th, it's game on, and we just hope for good weather. Not too hot, not too wet. Course improvements. Lots going on other than today. We've taken more trees out than you could ever imagine, and largely that was, I guess if there's one group that's been in from the PGA Tour more than any other, it's been the agronomy group. And B and Evan took it upon themselves after they purchased the golf course to redo all the greens 2 years ago. So they're in fabulous condition. Agronomy said, hey, love your greens, but if you don't get a lot of these trees out of here, the shade and the lack of airflow is going to choke them off. Plus you've had the ash borer, plus you've got just one thing after another. They've taken hundreds of trees off of this property. You can tell in certain areas, you can't tell in other areas. I think with every new membership right now, you get a load of firewood. So that's a plus. So, course improvements. They're taking like 4 holes and we're making new tee boxes to make it longer. It'll play closer to 7,300 yards for those that play golf. Plays 71 and change now, Brad, is that right? I think 71 and a half. So we'll be close to about 7,300 yards, which will make this a nice sturdy test for the professional golfers. And those of you that have played it, from what even the PGA Tour said, the best defense you have from a low score is the greens you have, because there's not a level spot on any of them. And Art Hills designed it that way. It frustrates the PGA Tour to no end. And for those that know Tom Halbron, who developed the course, he just chuckles the whole way along. So he loves the fact that it's going to be a stern test. They're taking trees out. This is like this is our hole number 13, which is actually the way the club plays it, number 4, which is back up here in the corner of Woods Lane and Delaney Ferry. So they've taken some pines out, lengthened that hole. A lot of tree removal, a lot of, they've already replaced some green banks with new sod. You can't see, it's under a blanket of snow, just making things as nice and as manicured. If you can imagine the most manicured golf course in America, that's what this is about to become. So if you're a homeowner, if you're a golfer, if you're just like someone that loves to be proud of your community and what's in it, you're going to have a diamond here in Champions at Keene Trace, because the club has invested in double the amount of equipment it's brought in. It's doubling its staff, which is due to show up here from south of the border here soon, legally. But we're bringing in additional help, about 25 additional staff members to run all the new equipment. It will be a major enterprise. A lot of golf courses had to scale everything back. Equipment basics, staffing basics, 7, 8 people running an entire golf course. You're going to have 3 dozen or more on this one doing maintenance and agronomy on it daily from here on through. Logistics, the first contract we signed was with the Colonnade Group. The Colonnade Group was the first contract Keeneland signed when they got the Breeders' Cup. They're managing our build-out, while Catherine will oversee it on our staff to make sure it's all put in and placed. Josh is helping sell. Those guys are selling. At the end of the day, Colonnade Group does this for a living. They secure our tent vendors, our flooring vendors, our power vendors, our air conditioning vendors. Everything's going to be air conditioned. We'll make this very comfortable. We're going to have restrooms. If my wife told me one thing, she told it to me 17 times. Make sure you have quality restrooms on the course or the women won't come back. She being the first one that won't come back. So we're going to have the nice portable restrooms all around the course, because there's not many out there, as you can well imagine. They're handling, kind of coordinating all of that. So if you went to Breeders' Cup, saw all the temporary setup and staging, we're going to have a lot of that same look and feel here on the course. Keeneland has been a great partner. That's where we're going to do most of our parking for these 80 to 100,000 potential guests. And we'll be busing them over. Unfortunately, the way you came into the course today is the only way into the course. So we're working right now with State Highway and some other folks to see if we can't come up with a different solution to create a bus depot for those that have been to Valhalla and come in through the buses there. You'll know that's off Shelbyville Road there, adjacent to the highway. We'll probably do something very similar here off of Delaney Ferry. We've probably had more meetings with law enforcement than any other group since we started this, as you can well imagine. And we have to have the meetings in here. It's become so large. We started with the state police, since they have jurisdiction on both sides. We've got the Jessamine County Police, the Nicholasville Police, the Fayette County Sheriff, the Lexington Police, the FBI, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, security at airport, security at Keeneland, all here at the table. And then the PGA Tour security team is all former FBI guys. So this is something we don't take lightly. Busing is one of the biggest issues. Security, the other big issue. Softer targets when you're open and wide open like this on an outdoor event. So excited about Keeneland, excited about where we're headed, Excited about the course changes. You'll even see, when you look at the greens and the shapes of them coming down, we've got equipment standing by ready to go to sharpen up the lake's edges, to make that grass come all the way down right to the water's edge. All of that's going to change here in the very near future if spring ever arrives. Tournament build out. I don't know if you can see this that well or not, but we are flipping the nines. So this par 3 right here, which is typically number 9, the way the club plays it, will play as number 18 during our tournament. Why? Because the existing number 18 is almost a little bit of a peninsula. Over here to our right sits out into the pond, and it doesn't really set up very well for those of us selling hospitality. We need to sell hospitality and have great locations for it. So we got 4 big suites back here. For instance, Barbasol is one of those. It's an 80-person suite, so they've got 320 tickets to deal with on a daily basis. All 4 of these are sold out. We've got 15 40-person suites right down the lake's edge, headed down that corner right there, which are 40-person private suites, especially mostly our banks, our wealth management groups, so forth and so on are lining up for those because they want to entertain guests and they want to entertain them one-on-one in their particular venues. We've got a Lexus maybe tent up here behind the tee with some grandstands. We've got additional 40 and 20-person suites around 17, which is our green across, that are shared food and beverage. Comes a little bit better of a price point. All in, what's really unique and is going to make this one, I think, the great stops on the PGA Tour is the fan experience is going to be so much different than any other tournament because of this green, and this green are all within eyesight of a number of these suites, chalets, and general public areas. Name another tournament where you can see 3 greens and watch it with your own eyes, all from your same seat. I can't. So we think this will be something special. Will it be the Waste Management Open with 16,000 people around hole number 16? Not yet, but we're working toward that. So this is going to be a really neat setup. We've got sponsor villages. We've got other additional tents. For instance, down here on 17, it's almost like our turf club. This is going to be a tented area with tables of 10, much like you're at now, that will be reserved just for you during the entire event. So during the tournament, if you are a particular bank, for instance, I've got my table of 10. This is where I'm entertaining my guests. We're coming and going, and my food and beverage is included. It's sitting out. It's very convenient, and it's air conditioned with televisions, all of that good stuff. All right, next, bus depot. We talked about that. Main entrance, we've talked about that. We're working with a homeowners association. With law enforcement, we're looking at controlling Delaney Ferry here in front of the golf course from the 3-way stop just about to Woods Lane up here and making it local access only. So if you're a homeowner within here or Delaney Woods or one of the other neighborhoods adjacent, you'll all have passes, things of that nature. We want to try to control access as much as we can to keep the general public from just driving right in. We'll have the gates set up. We'll have security 24/7, security on the course 24/7. We've got to put security at Golf Channel. They'll bring in 7 tractor trailers plus satellite dishes. We've got to create a compound just for the television tractor trailers. So this is no small endeavor in any particular aspect. We have to put another tent up. I told you about all the help that maintenance is getting. You will have folks volunteer from other clubs to come in and work with the course superintendent. So we'll have probably another, what, Brad, 30, 40 people that will volunteer to come in and help with agronomy just during the event. So they've got to have a place to set up down by the maintenance shed, et cetera, et cetera. It just never ends. It's a complex event with many, many layers. And fortunately, we've got a number of great staff members that are helping me put it all together because I couldn't do it. Sponsor update. We've got a lot we told about with 19 sponsors under contract. Another 6 are pending right now, 36 under discussion. We'll sell 50, 60 chalets and suites by the time it's all over with before we get to July. Still have some opportunities available, so if you or some folks you know may be interested, you can let us know. Sold out on the 18th. Couple left on this fairway side down the left. We've got a little more expansion room over on 17 and we can grow it. Reserve tables are 10 are selling well, and then we even have the upgraded hospitality tent, which is just for like an upgraded grounds ticket if you ever went to the Wanamaker Club up at Valhalla during their tournaments. A similar type setup there where you can get into an air-conditioned environment, have some upgraded food and beverage. Volunteers takes a massive amount. Might have 1,500 volunteers to work this event. So everything from daycare workers, yes, daycare workers. PGA Tour actually sends in a couple of full-time staff members. We have to get an undisclosed location not too far from the hotels that allows us to have the players drop their kids off in the morning. In the middle of the summer, a lot of the players are traveling with their families. And so they need a place where they can trust and give their kids, hand their kids off to people they know, but we have to provide some additional staffing for that, plus provide police at that location. Right up to driving shuttles back and forth from a local farm for our VIP parking. Right up to holding up the, hush y'all signs. As we're saying here in Kentucky, not quiet please, hush y'all. And those are the folks that work on each of the holes. So there's so many opportunities. I've got high school teams reaching out to Vanessa, wanting to be standard bearers and carry the scoring signs. I've got folks that just want to work the driving range because they love watching all the players warm up and going through that. They're just golf junkies. I mean, so there's something to do for just about everybody. And so we have a sign up online. Do we have the website up here? It's just our regular website, correct, Vanessa?
It's not live yet. It will go live on our website.
And how far are we away from that?
Hopefully within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so within the next 2 weeks, I know we're doing a little membership drive right now that we told the members we would allow them to sign up first. So they're doing that. In 2 weeks, we should have it open to the general public. Now, what's interesting, you got to pay to volunteer. $75 fee. But here's what you get. 2 weekly tickets, polo shirt and hat, rounds of golf at Keene Trace as well as part of that package. So you get outfitted. We typically ask folks to work 3 to 4 shifts during the weekend. But then a lot of them work and then they hang out the rest of the day. So it's kind of the standard on the PGA Tour, how it works, and we're just kind of adopting that as we speak. There's some of the different opportunities we talked about, from admissions, front tickets, caddy services, media center, on-course marshals, right down to transportation, walking scores. There's our website, Barbasol Championship KY.com. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Couple of the big key points I'm going to leave you with here, and I don't want to go too long because usually it takes me 10, 15 minutes just to say hello. One, this will have an estimated economic impact of $20 million annually. And so when you think about the folks that come in, and you talk about Golf Channel coming in and taking over a hotel for not only a week, but a week to 10 days, some of them 2 weeks while they're here setting up. The players coming in, we have a field of 132. 85% of those will stay at hotels. So we're working with hotels, including Embassy Suites, our Beaumont hotels, a few others out there to utilize for our tournament needs around the community. And you have about 15% of that field will actually go and rent houses. So we're working with a local group to put a housing program together. I don't want to mislead them. I think we were all misled by the World Equestrian Games that everybody was going to rent our house out and rent it out for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Didn't happen. So we think there might be 24 homes that are rented. They like to be close to the golf course in proximity as possible. So we'll work to put something out to help those folks. We do want to make this a very big charitable event. So the way we're approaching this, and no reason to recreate the wheel, they call it Birdies for Charity at the John Deere Classic. The John Deere is played the week before in Quad Cities, Illinois. And I don't know if you've been to the Quad Cities. We made it up there to see the tournament. But it's a community a little bit smaller than Lexington, the 4 towns together. John Deere is really the only corporation in the community. It's a successful event because they took it over and made it successful. It's an established event. They started a program where they opened it up to any charity that wanted to participate. That charity came forward and said, I want to be in the Birdies for Charity program. So we keep a tally through the 4 days of the tournament of all the birdies scored in the event. It usually ends up being 1,600 to 2,000 birdies during the course of the 4 days. Well, what's interesting about that is that you then go back with your charity and say, guys, we got a new fundraising way to go to do this. We're going to reach back out to our constituents, our supporters, and see if they want to participate. Maybe we get some new faces on board. And when we do that, they can make pledges. Might be a penny a birdie, might be $1 a birdie, might be more. Whatever that number is, all that adds up. And it's added up into a significant amount in the Quad Cities, Illinois, that this year, the total amount distributed was over $12 million from one tournament back to charities in the local community. Now, I don't know who does a lot of fundraising for charities. I've never seen numbers like that off a program like this. The tournament even goes another step forward because it's established, and they probably generate, I'd say, close to 7 figures now of profit off that event. They take that profit and they make that matching funds back to those charities. So if your charity comes to me and it's Ronald McDonald House, and that Ronald McDonald House generates $50,000 in pledges, then I think my time's up. If it generates $50,000 in pledges, they give 10% more on top of that back to the charity. So it becomes 55 grand, which is an added incentive that I think a lot of programs don't do. So we want to, regardless of the profitability of our event right out of the box, and most tournaments don't make money the first year or two, we want to create a pool of dollars, which we think we can from some of those other pillar events we talked about, the concert. We're working with Wounded Heroes. We want to do a shooting deal down at Bluegrass Sportsman's Club. We're thinking about a casino night and generating some dollars that might go to a specific charity, but half of it goes to our pool that we can then incentivize all the charities in the event. That way, we're winning, our community is winning, our kids are winning, and hopefully there's some lives changed in the process of all this. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a fun event. We want to make it a party. The late time frame makes it even more so to where you can come out in the evenings, enjoy golf as the sun sets. We'll have cocktails. I don't know if it says anything about our success, but our first deals were with Coke, Budweiser, Grey Goose, and bourbon. And then everybody else is kind of falling in behind that. So it's going to be a lot of fun for our sponsors to entertain and interact. And at the end of the day, maybe we say, you know, who invited all these golfers to our party here in Jessamine County? But hopefully that kind of hits it and gets most of it. I've gone real quick. I'll wrap up. Any quick questions before we close up? Everybody's got to get back to work. Rhonda?